Hello. Welcome back to my channel, and let's start the directive principle of the state policy. Article 36 to 51 of the Indian Constitutional mainly deals with the directive principle of the state policy, given in which part of the Indian Constitution, that is part 4th. The idea of the directive principle of the state policy was borrowed by the farmers of the Indian Constitution from the Constitution of the Ireland, and the instruction of the instrument related to this function. The directive principle of the state policy stay with the Article 36 to 51, and first is Article 36, definition of the state. Article 37, application of the principle contained of this part. Article 38, state to secure a social order of the promotion of welfare of the people. Article 39, certain principle of the policy of the followed by the state. Article 39A, equal justice and free legal act. Article 40, organization of the village panchayat. 41, right to work, to education and to the public assistance in certain castes. 42, provision for just and human condition of work and maternity relief. 43, living wages, etc. for workers. 43A, participation of the worker in management of industries. 43B, associate with the promotion of cooperative societies. 44 states that Uniform Civil Code for the citizen. 45, provision for early childhood care and the education to children below the age of 6 years. 46, promotion of educational and economic interest of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes and their weaker section. 47, duty of the state to raise the level of nutrition and the standard of the living and improve public health. 48, organization of agriculture and animal husbandry. 48A, protection and improvement of the environment and the safeguarding of forest and wildlife. 49, protection of the monuments and places and objects of national importance. Article 50, separation of judiciary from executive. 51, the promotion of the international peace and security. Let's start the some important facts about DPSP. On the basis of content, directive principle of the state policy are classified into socialist, Gandhian, and liberal principles. Directive principle of in our constitution are non-enforceable in the court of the law. Directive principle of the state policy are guidelines to the government and executive. These are non-justificable. That means the part of the constitution that cannot be enforced by judiciary. Which article under directive principle of the state enable that the central government to legislate prohibition of cow slaughter? That is Article 48. Directive principle of the state policy in the Indian Constitution, and economic justice has been provided as one of the objective fundamental rights are mainly protect the rights of individual, while directive principle of state policy ensure the well-being of entire society. Directive principle of the state policy Indi- Indian Constitution mentioned promotion of the international peace and the security, which part of the Indian Constitution ensures social and economic democracy, that is the directive principle of the state policy. Part 4, directive principle of the state policy can be amended by special majority, and that kind of the majority is two-third of the majority. Which article of the Indian Constitution provides for the employer to given maternity benefits to the employees? That is Article 42. Separation of the judiciary from the executive have been provided under which part of the Indian Constitution? That is the directive principle of the state policy, Article Part 4. The main purpose of including the directive principle of the state policy in the Indian Constitution is to establish a welfare state, which is not included in the directive principle of the state policy, that is the right to information. Wildlife Protection Act was implemented in the India in 1972 years, in which state of India there is a uniform civil code, and that state is Goa. Goal of the directive principle of the state policy is welfare of people, social, economic, and political justice, raising the standard of the living and establish distribution of resources, promotion, and international peace. Non-justificable rights, that is the equal pay for equal work for men and women, right against economic exploitation, right to work, early childhood care and education to children below the age of the 6 year. Policies of directive principle of the state policies are uniform civil code, prohibition of consumption of alcoholic liquor, promotion of cottage industries, prevention of the slaughter of useful cattle, promotion of village of panchayat. Which part of the Indian Constitution mention promotion of international peace and security? That is directive principle of the state policy. Which four new directive principle of the state policy were added to the DPSP list through 42 Amendment Act of 1946, and that is Article 39, 39A, 43 and 48A. Let's we discuss about the fundamental duties, and the first is not to destroy the public property is a civil duty under fundamental duty. How many fundamental duties does a part of 4A of Indian Constitution specified? That is article, sorry, that is 11 kinds of the fundamental duties. Right of vote is not a fundamental duties. Fundamental duties held court in examining and determining the constitutional validity of law. Some fundamental duties fall under the category of the moral duty, which some are civil duties. Let's see the fundamental duties, which includes the part 4A, and that is the constitutional states that it shall be a duty of every citizen of the India to abide a constitution and respect its ideas and institution, that national flag and national anthem flow the noble ideas of the freedom struggle to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity, and integrity of India, the defense of the country, and reminder national services when required, the promotion, harmony, and the spirit of the common brotherhood amongst all of the people of the India, religious and religion and section to the Reliance Party's democratic to the dignity of the woman, the value and preserve of rich heritage of our composite culture, the protection and improve that the natural environment include forests, lake, river and wildlife and have a compassion for a living creatures, to value the scientific tempered and humanism and the spirit of the inquiries and reform. The next is to safeguard the pupil properties and the violence. Next, toward excellence in all spheres, in individuals and collective activities, so that the national constantly rise to higher level of endeavor and achievement. Next, the parent or the guardians to provide opportunities for education to these children or their words as a case may be between the age of 6 to 14 years, that is a 86th amendment of the Indian Constitution 2002. And let's discuss about the some important facts about the president. Who is the constitutional head of the government of India? That is the president. In India, the president's whole office for a period of 5 years. What is the minimum age required to be a president of India? That is 35 years. Which article of the Indian Constitution of India deals with the manner of the election of the president? That is Article 55. Who take part of the election of the president of the India? That is the elected member of the both houses of the parliament and legislative assembly of the state. Who is the first citizen of Indian and occupies the first position under the order of pre-census, that is the president and the vice president. And let's see about the some articles. First is 54, the President of the India. 53, executive power of the Union. 54, election of the President. 55, manner of the election of the President. 56, term of the office of President. 57, eligibility for re-election. 58, qualification of election as President. 59, condition of the President office. Article 60, oath or affirmation by the President. 61, procedure for impeachment of the President. 62, time of holding election to fill vacancy in the office of the president and the term of the office of the person elected to fill casual vacancies. Article 70, discharge of the president function in other. Next, 71, matter related to or the connected with the election of the president or vice president. 72, power of the president to grant pardon, etc., and the suspended remit and commit sentences in certain cases. 73, extent of executive power of union. Let's see the power of the president: executive power, legislative power, financial power, veto power, ordinance power, emergency power, discretionary power, military power, and last is diplomatic power. The vacancy of the office of the president must be filled within 6 months. The procedure for impeachment of the President of the India is mentioned under which article of the Indian Constitution, that is 61. Article 60 of the Indian Constitution deal with oath of the President. President act as the symbol of the unity, integrity, and the solidarity of the nation, under which article of the Constitution of the India can be President promulgated an ordinance, that is the Article 123, who administered the oath of the office to the President of the India, that is Chief Justice of the India, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, was declared as the first President of India by Constituent Assembly. Dr. S. Radhakrishnan was the President of the Republic of the India, who constitutionally described Indian secularism as Sarva Dharma Sambhav. When the office of the President and Vice President fall vacant simultaneously, who acts as President, that is the CJI, Chief Justice of the India. How many times of the President of the India can seek re-election to his office? Any number of the time. The President of India has a discretionary power in appointment of the Prime Minister when no party or pre-poll alliance is able to form the government in the absence of majority. How is the President of the India elected? System of the proportional representation by means of the single transferable vote system. Impeachment proceeding against the President for violation of the Constitution can be initiated in either house of the Parliament, that is, either may be Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Presidential ordinance can be remain in force for 6 months. Who was the President of the India during 15 July 1982 to 15 July 1987, that is Gyani Jail Singh, who appointed the judge of the Supreme Court of the India. President appointment of all services of the union government are made by President. The minister in the union government hold office during the pleasure of President, who is the competent authority to dissolve the parliament. President, who is the custodian of consolidancy fund of the India, that is the President of the India. Who is the supreme commander of the armed forces? President of India. House of Indian Parliament are provoked by whom? President of the India. Who is the supreme commander of the Indian Defense Force? That is the President of India. Who appointed the chairman of Union Public Service? That is President of India. In India, the oath of Secretary of in Union Ministers of administered by whom? President of the India. Which President of the India held the office for 2 terms? That is Dr. Rajendra Prasad. What is the minimum age limitation prescribed for the post of the President of the India. There is no maximum age limit. The President of the India enjoyed how many types of emergency power? That is the three types of the emergency. uh, that is the national emergency, state emergency, and the financial emergency. In India, the president rule continues for the 6 months, but it can be extended for a maximum period of 3 years with the approval of the parliament every 6 months, whose recommendation is mandatory to impeach the President of the India from his office before the complaints of his or her term. That is the two houses of the parliament, either Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha. In pocket veto, the President of the India can keep a will for how much duration? Indefinite period. Next, the power of sovereign. Each house of the parliament is with the president, who can initiate impeachment of the president. That is one fourth member of the either houses of the parliament, implementing law in the function of executive, under which pardoning powers of the president one from the punishment is substituted by the lighter form commutation, under which pardoning power of the president during the sentences is reduces with the changing in nature, that is the remission. Next, who held the shortest tenure in the Indian president? That is the Zakir Hussain. What can the president do if the state falls to comply with the directive of the central government? He can declare the break down the constitution machinery in the state and assume responsible for the government of the state, through which process president can assign any of the function of the union government of the state government that is in constitution with the government of the state. The president rule is imposed on a state in India when there is a constitutional breakdown under article 356. Is the president rule introduced in a state due to the failure of constitutional the declaration of the constitutional emergency in the Indian state has to be approved by the parliament with a period of 2 months. A proclamation of emergency under Article 352 on accounts of war or aggression requires approval of the parliament within 1 month. What is the maximum period up to which a proclamation issued by the president under Article 356 of the Constitution are approved, extended by Parliament? Any normally remain in force, that is 1 year. Article 360 state that the president of the India can proclaim financially emergency when the constitutional amendment will goes to the president. He is bounded to give his consent. The winning candidates in the election of the president of the India should secure more than 50% and majority of the total vote who was elected unopposed the president of the India during 1977 to 1982, that is Neelam Sanjeev Reddy, who cannot participate in election of the president, nominated member of the parliament and member of the state legislative assembly in India who can promulgate ordinance at any time except when both house of the parliament are in session. That is a special power of the president. The power of houses of the parliament is vested with the president. Next fact is about vice president of the India. Let's start. In case of the president of the India wants to resign, he would address his resignation to the vice president of the India. The vice president of India is also ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. When vice president officiate as a president of the India, he draw the salary of president. Nominated member of the parliament are the part of the electoral colleges of the vice president. And let's see the fact about the prime minister and their council. The first fact is the prime minister and the other minister of the Indian Union are appointed by the president under Article 75 of the Constitution of the India, who act as the of the communication between the president and the council of the minister, that is prime minister consolidation. Does the president convey and promote all the session of the parliament, on whom advice president appoint the other ministers, that is a prime minister in a parliamentary form of the government. He is the first among equal. Who is he? That is prime minister in India. Prime minister of India is the leader of the council of the minister and leader of the parliament. Which ex prime minister of the India is known as the Chanakya of the modern India, that is P.V. Narasimha Rao. According to Article 75 of the Indian Constitution, the minister all collective responsibility to the Parliament in general and to the Lok Sabha in particular. If the Prime Minister of the India submits his resignation to the President, it will means that the resignation of the entire council of the minister, that is a collective responsibility. In Indian constitution it state that the total number of the minister includes the prime minister in the council of the ministers shall not exceed 15% of the total number of the member of the house of the people. What is the tenure of the prime minister of the India? As long as he enjoyed the support of the majority member of the Lok Sabha. Gulzari Lal Nanda became the acting minister, prime minister of the India after the death of the Jawaharlal Nehru in 1964. The prime minister who led India during the 1965 war with Pakistan was Lal Bahadur Shastri. Indira Gandhi was the prime minister of the India during the national emergency. Mr. Charan Singh was the first politician who became a chief minister of the state and prime minister of the India. Chandrasekhar was the prime minister of the India from 10th November 1990 to 19th June 1991. Which prime minister has served a term of 18 days? That is Atal Bihari Vajpayee. The president can dismiss a member of the council of the minister on the recommendation of the prime minister. Cabinet secretary is the highest civil servant of the union government. The Committee on Subordinate Legislation deals with delegated legislation according to Article 75 sub clause 3 of the Constitution of the India. The Council of the Minister are collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha, and that is the known as the House of the People. Name the only Indian Prime Minister who never faced parliamentary during his tenure, that is Chaudhry Charan Singh. In minister hold office at the pleasure of whom president. Next fact is related to the parliament. The parliament of the India consists of the president, Lok Sabha and Raj Sabha. It states that the Article 79. Next, how many houses are there in Indian Parliament? That is the two houses, Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. First is known as uh, Council of the State, and other is House of the People, respectively. Let's see the fact about the Rajya Sabha. The maximum number of the Rajya Sabha was being fixed by the Constitution of the India, that is 250. Out of 240 245 member of the Rajya Sabha, how many members are nominated by the president, that is 12. Houses of president parliament are prorogated by whom, that is the president of the India, who is ex officio chairman of the Raj Sabha, that is vice president of the India. Minimum age of the member of the Raj Sabha is 30 years. Who is the term of the member of the Raj Sabha? 6 years. There are total one parliamentary seat Raj Sabha constitutionally in the Sikkim. The number of the parliamentary seats Rajya Sabha of Himachal Pradesh is 3. The number of the parliamentary seat Rajya Sabha from Chhattisgarh is 5. There are 7 parliamentary seat Rajya Sabha in Punjab. There are total 19 parliamentary seats in Maharashtra. How many numbers can be appointed in Rajya Sabha from Uttar Pradesh? That is 31. According to Article 80 of the Indian Constitution, Rajya Sabha can have a maximum strength of 250 members. Out of these 250 members, how many are representative of the state and union territories? That is 338. What is the total strength of Rajya Sabha of the Indian? 2 245. How many member of the Rajya Sabha retire from the house every 2 years? One third of the total number. Rajya Sabha cannot reject any money related law but can delay it. For how many days can it be delayed? That is 40 days. Raj Sabha being a pre-minute house, one third of the member of the entire every 2 years. Representation of any state in Rajya Sabha in according to population of the state in which house is the president office, not a member of the that house, that is Rajya Sabha. If the Union Parliament to assume legislative power over and subject includes in the state list the resolution of the effect that to be passed by Rajya Sabha. The name of the upper house of the Indian Parliament is Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha can give the Union Parliament power to make law on the matter includes in the statelets. Rajya Sabha enjoyed more power than the Lok Sabha in the case of the setting up a new All India services. Formation of a new state in India is done by simple majority. A joint sitting of both house of the parliament may be converted to considered a bill which was 6 months passed by one house to keep the pending by the other, that is 6 months. After 1994, how many sessions of the Rajya Sabha are usually held in the year? That is a three: summer session, winter session, and monsoon session. Let's start some fact about Lok Sabha. The maximum number of the Lok Sabha has been fixed by the Constitution of the India, that is 550. When was the first Lok Sabha formed? 1952. In which year was the House of the People named Lok Sabha? 1954. 74 general election has been held in India till October 2019. Meera Kumar was the Speaker of the 15th Lok Sabha and she was the first woman Speaker in India. Sumitra Mahajan is then second woman Speaker of the Lok Sabha. For how much period of a finance commission is formed? That is 5 years. What is the minimum age laid down for a candidate to seek election to the Lok Sabha? 25 years. Who preside over the sitting of the House of People, Speaker of Lok Sabha? According to the Constitution of the India, how many members from a Anglo-Indian community can be nominated to the Lok Sabha by the President? That is the two. How many sessions of the Lok Sabha are normally held in a year? That is three. There are total 42 parliamentary seats in West Bengal. Rule 193. The rule of procedure and conduct of the business in Lok Sabha does not include a form motion before the Parliament House, hence, no voting can be placed after discussion, no matter under this rule. In a provisional Parliament of India, how many members were there? 299. When was zero hour introduced in a parliamentary affairs in India? 1962. Former President Pranav Mukherjee won the first Lok Sabha election in the year of 2004. The Anand Swami Iyengar was the first Deputy Speaker of the first Lok Sabha. What is the quorum required for convening the Lok Sabha? That is one fourth of the total number of the member. In India parliamentary system, the leader of the largest opposition party having not less than one tenth seat of the total strength of the house is leader of the opposition. 6 month maximum permissible gap between the two sessions of the parliament. What should be a age between first no confidence motion and the second, that is the sixth? Who preside over the Lok Sabha in the absence of Speaker of Deputy Speaker of the Lok Sabha, a person from the pers- uh, personal by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. After question hour, a motion moved by a member of the parliament to draw the attention of the executive for discussing a definite matter of the public importance, that is the urgentable motion. The speaker of Lok Sabha is elected by the all the member of the parliament. The Secretary General of the Lok Sabha is chief of the secretariat and it's appointed by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, in which house legislation can be initiated, both Lok Sabha or Raj Sabha. The board of the Speaker of Lok Sabha is called casting board. The deputy speaker president over the Lok Sabha when the speaker is absent from the sitting of the house, that is deputy speaker, in which will does the government propose collection of review for a year financial will. G.V. Malvankar was the first Speaker of the Independence India's Lok Sabha. What is the minimum qualification of the person become a member of the Lok Sabha? That is, must be a citizen of the India, must not be the less than age 25 years of the age, which is called the pupil, which is called the popular chamber, that is Lok Sabha. Parliament elects the president and vice president and removes the judges of the High Court and the Supreme Court. Name of the two non-parliamentary houses of the parliamentary set up the of India, that is Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. No confidence motion against the Union Council of the Minister can be initiated in Lok Sabha only. The member of which Sabha can say they have no confidence in a council of the minister, that is Lok Sabha only. What is the most important function of the legislator? Making law. The speaker of the Lok Sabha is elected. The member of the Lok Sabha will of the which category can be initiated only in Lok Sabha? Money bill. How many times was the term of the Lok Sabha extended up to 6 years? Once. Money bill can be introduced first in which house of the parliament, that is only in Lok Sabha, which will can be introduced without the prior recommendation of the president of the India, that is ordinary will, who has the power of dissolve Lok Sabha president, who preside over the sitting of the houses of people, speaker of Lok Sabha in Lok Sabha who cannot vote in the first instant during voting, that is a speaker of Lok Sabha. The function of pro tem speaker is to the oath in member and holding charge till the regular speaker is elected. Next, the speaker of the Lok Sabha enjoyed the right to vote only the case of the tie, which are the two states having the highest representation in Lok Sabha, Bihar and Maharashtra, in Parliament, who taken the final decision on the whether a bill is a money bill or not. That is the special power of the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. In the case of deadlock between the two houses of the parliament, the joint sitting is presided over by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. The power, privilege, and immunity of the either houses of the parliament and of its committees and the member have merely been laid down in article 100 5 of the Constitution of the India. What provision of the Constitution enabled the central government to impose the service tax to extend its spend, that is the residuary power under Article 248. Under Article 100 of the Constitution of the India, the quorum of the constitute a sitting of a house is 1 month of the total member of the house. There is a correction, that is not a 1 month, that is the 1/10. In order to make a bill into a law, it be required to pass through both houses, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Residuary power, state or congruent list of the constitution are whipped in parliament. What can be maximum interval between the two sessions of the parliament? 6 months. In the Indian parliamentary system, vote can allowance is valid for how many months? That is 2 months. What is the time limit given to parliament to pass the ordinance promulgated by the president of the India? That is 6 weeks. From a member of the parliament will lose his membership of the parliament if he is continuously absent from the session of 60 days. In Indian Parliament, a bill may be sent to the section committee to any state at the discretion of the Speaker. 0 hours in the working of the Indian Parliament means interval between the question hour and next agenda. According to the Indian Constitution, the Union legislative body is called Parliament. Legislature organ is a custodian of national powers. What is the minimum number of the member required to be present in any one of the two houses of the parliament for the functionary? That is the 1/10 of the total member, that is called quorum. The philosophical school, among the philosophical, historical school, analytic school, and sociological school is the ancient school of the law. In a cut motion, when a amount of demand is reduced by rupees 100, is known as token cut. A salary and allowances payable to the member of the parliament and decided by the parliament. The residuary power of the legislature under Indian Constitution reset with Parliament. If the name of the tribe has been excluded from the list of scheduled tribe, who has the power for such exclusion? That is Parliament. No government expenditure can be included in India expected with the section of the Parliament. Which of the most important political institution of the democratic country? That is Parliament. Parliament of the India is the supreme law making institution in India. In case of disagreement between the two houses of the parliament over a non-money bill, that is the president may call a joint session of the both the house, and Article 108 state that what allows the government to meet the expenses of the administration until the new parliament passes the budget for the whole year, that is vote on account A motion moved by member of the parliament when he feels a minister has committed a breach of privilege of the house by withholding facts of a case is called privilege motion after the president office declares the house urged to cite death. President of the India issued a notification for prolongation of the session. The parliament, while the session begins with which hour, that is the question hour, which kinds of the question requires or oral answer, that is a short notice question, which kind of the question required written answer, uncertain questions, how many reading does a non-money bill have each house of the parliament, that is 3. The constitution of the India drawn that the two houses of the parliament must be elected at the least, that is the twice a year. In India, the residuary are with union government. Zero hour in innovative process is introduced by the Indian Parliament to the world parliamentary system. How many members can be nominated to the both of the houses of the parliament by the president? At present, only 12 members. Which authority can amend the constitution, that is a parliament? Who is the chairman of the national commission of the population control, that is the prime minister, controller and auditor general of the India, acts as a friend and the philosopher and the guide for PAC committee, public account committee, from which fund can be expenditure be made without the prior appointed pro tem speaker, that is a president, which mentions the is introduced by a member of call attention a minister of the matter of the public importance, that is calling attention motion, which motion is introduced in parliament to draw attention of the house to a definite matter of urgent public importance and need support of the 50 members to admit it, that is the adjournment motion. The policy that deals with the tax and expenditure policies of the government is called fiscal policies. The Constitution of the India refers to the budget as the annual financial statement, which is given in Article 112. The Indian Parliament is competent in enact law of the state subject if emergency under Article 352 is in operation. Who can speaker? No, sorry, who can speak both in Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, Prime Minister and Council of the Minister, which grant a give when authorized grant for a year found to be insufficient supplementary grant, which grant is given for the additional expenditure for a new service in current financial year, that is a additional grant, which grant is given when the money spent on any services during a financial year is excess of the amount grant for a service in the budget for the year, that is excess grant. What are the factors that limits that sovereignty of the Indian Parliament, that is written nature of the constitution, federation system of the government, system of the judicial review, and fundamental rights. The changed expedition is non-votable by the parliament. It can only discussed by the parliament panel of a Lok Sabha is nominated by the Lok Sabha Speaker consists of not more than 10 members in parliamentary proceeding. 20 matters per day as per their priority in the ballot are allotted in the rise during 0 hours. 20 maximum number of the stand question pro oral answered admitted for the discussion of a particular day in a Lok Sabha. The president can advance money to meet unforced expenses for the fund, that is a consignee fund, consolidated fund of the India, which type of the expenditure of the budget countries, that is the made expenditure from the consolidated fund of the India. How many constitutional amendment to the constitution of the India have been made so far, that is 105. Part 20 of the India Constitution contains Article 368 that gives the power of the Parliament to do constitutional amendments. The Parliament has power to amend the provision of the Constitution of the India, that is the Article 368 of the Constitution confirms the power of the Parliament. 101 Constitutional Amendment Act 2016 of the Constitution introduced the goods and the services taxes, that is a popular known as GST, in 1951 to 52. The first general election for the Lok Sabha held. अब हमने यहाँ तक जो है क्वेश्चन देख लिया। 10 मिनट के बाद हम लोग पार्लियामेंट्री कमेटीज को डिस्कस करेंगे 10 मिनट के ब्रेक के बाद। दर्द करने लगी। म्यूट कर दिया।